Hello, I'm Darren again. Today's questions are asking what is meant by the term narcissistic discard, and why would narcissistic people just discard others, especially if they've put a lot of time and effort into scheming, manipulating, and coercing someone into giving them all their resources, having their own needs met, and having their own ego boosted. So before answering these questions, remember, as much as there can be a lot of commonalities with narcissism, it's never really a one-size-fits-all answer. Sometimes it comes down to the individual. It might come down to the nature of the relationship. So in this video, I'm going to outline 7 of the common reasons why they discard other people. I'm also going to look at some of the reasons and the motivations behind whether or not that discard is permanent or not. So, if you find this video helpful, if you find it interesting, please consider subscribing to my channel. Now, narcissism is characterized by a sense of entitlement. There's grandiosity, a lack of empathy for others, and a constant need for attention and admiration. They can be highly disagreeable and highly resistant or highly sensitive to criticism. And these characteristics would be long-term and they would be pervasive, not just once in a while. Now, a narcissistic discard is when, and indeed how, a person with narcissistic tendencies ends the relationship with someone. Now, during a relationship with a narcissist, someone might feel as if they've had all the life, all the joy, all the confidence sucked out of them, all their resources have been depleted, and it can feel as if they've just been used. And the sad truth is, in many cases, maybe they actually were just used. But when it comes to the discard, you don't necessarily have to be in a relationship with a narcissist to be discarded by them. A narcissist can discard someone within minutes of meeting them if they see them as having no value to them. In some cases, even after a brief conversation, a narcissist can decide whether or not someone is worth pursuing. Those reasons for pursuing can vary, but it usually comes down to that person has something they want or need, something that might be useful or beneficial to them. If they don't have anything, they tend to not bother, maybe even just ignore them. However, if new information or a new situation arises and that person suddenly does have something of value to them, they'll maybe go straight back to them, acting as if that previous ignoring them didn't happen. But if there was a relationship, some of the reasons for the discard in no particular order would be firstly because maybe that person is just no longer useful. They may be of no further help to them regards their goals, their agenda. That person may have no more money or no more resources left. Their situation may have changed somehow. Maybe they're now moving in different circles, not the circles the narcissist needs them to be moving in. The narcissist may have just used them for their contacts, their social network. Once they've been able to maybe establish their own relationships with those people, that person is now of no further value. And they can be like that with work colleagues, friends, even their partners. And that being said, if they are in a relationship with that person, narcissists typically don't let go of their supply of attention and admiration unless or until they found a new one. Which leads me on to the second reason. Perhaps they think they've found someone better. Now, they might not be better, it might just be someone else, someone who maybe isn't on to them. But the narcissists often behave as if this new person is better and they begin that cycle of love bombing again. They may exaggerate their new partner or their new friend's amazing qualities. They may show what a great life they're having together, just to show their ex, you weren't enough. The third reason for the discard could be maybe that person no longer fuels their ego, and this could be for a number of reasons. Maybe they've stopped praising them, maybe they've stopped worshipping them, maybe they've stopped giving them what they want, maybe they've even just stopped listening to them. Remember that huge sense of entitlement. You're not seeing me the way I see me. You're dumped. That being said, in some cases, even if they still are getting their needs met, even if they're still getting their ego boosted, a narcissist might become bored. It's like one source is never really enough. They might already be looking for a new source or new sources. The next reason for the discard might sound like something of a strange paradox. Narcissistic people tend to be very controlling. They like to control everything, even control other people, which is why they tend to be very coercive and manipulative. They may say to someone, in order to be loved, in order to be respected, you have to do what I say, you have to give me what I demand. And they can spend a lot of time pulling their victims apart, finding ways to manipulate and coerce and even trauma bond them. and in many cases being successful. But once they have control, they may no longer have any interest or respect for that person because they are so easily manipulated. It's like the more they get away with, the more they do. And the more they do, the more they despise the person they're doing it to. Reason number five is actually the opposite. Perhaps their target, their victim, was becoming too difficult to control. Perhaps they were becoming more assertive. They were asking questions. They not only communicated, but are reinforcing their boundaries, calling them out for their selfish behavior. Perhaps they've been becoming more defiant. They've been developing healthy relationships with others or reconnecting with past relationships. People with healthy relationships with other people tend not to be as controllable, which I think is why narcissistic people often isolate their victims from others to make them more dependent on them. It could be that despite the narcissist's attempts to sabotage them, they might be becoming quite successful in their own right. They are earning praise and admiration from others for their own efforts. And this can bring up a lot of envy in the narcissist. Remember, people are supposed to envy them. So if they see that their schemes aren't working or they're getting nowhere, if they see their victim even begin to outshine them and maybe others are beginning to see them for what they really are, they might just move on to someone new to control. Reason number six, the discard comes because the narcissist wants to be pursued, chased, pleaded with to come back. After all, they are the best thing that could ever happen to someone. It could also be a means of punishment. You don't get me back until you start to comply. And lastly, number seven, a narcissist might just up and leave, discard someone as soon as they're on to them. When someone knows that they are envious, they are liars, manipulative, and cruel, they can expose them. They have become a liability. So in that case, the discard has become about self-preservation. It's better to discard than to be discarded. And when this happens, it's not uncommon that they would try to destroy that other person's character, their reputation to others, to create a false narrative in order to protect their own sense of self. So now to answer the last of the questions, is the discard permanent? Well, it really depends on the person and the nature of the relationship. It might not be permanent because narcissists tend to use others just to meet their own needs. They tend to think in terms of who can give them what they want, who can boost their ego, who can maintain that sense of grandiosity. But their focus is primarily always on themselves. Now, they may weigh up the pros and cons of staying or going in a relationship, and it's whether or not there are more pros and cons decides whether or not there's going to be a discard, and indeed whether or not it's going to be permanent. Now, if after they've dumped someone, they've discarded them, and they feel the loss of something may be important to them, they might try to come back, or maybe their new supply didn't work out for them, so they try to come back, or maybe no one else will have them, so they try to come back. Then they engage in what's commonly referred to as hoovering. They remember in the early stages of that relationship that the love, the kindness, the affection seemed to work. During the relationship, those little crumbs of attention and affection may have kept someone hooked. They may try the same things again, but it will always be for their own benefit. If the discard is permanent, it could well be because they genuinely do believe they are better off in this new situation or this new relationship. The only contact that their ex might get from them is just to let them know how much better off they are. Another reason why it could be permanent is, as I said earlier, narcissists like to be in control. So if they leave someone, even if they left that person defeated, drained, heartbroken, they maybe think they've won. But in the meantime, if that person has maybe sought support, maybe they've found their voice, they have taken control of the interactions between them, maybe they've decided to go no contact themselves, or perhaps they're using the grey rock method. The discard then eventually becomes permanent because nothing they do works. They no longer have any control, and this can be both frustrating and exhausting for a narcissist. So to summarize, narcissists tend to think of others as supply. In order to get what they want, they use others to prop up their sense of self and can have trouble maintaining long-term relationships, certainly healthy ones anyway, because relationships require accommodation, give and take, and working towards common goals. And these things are not necessarily on a narcissist's radar. Now, that doesn't mean they don't have long-term relationships. Many do, but they tend to be quite dysfunctional and unhealthy for others. There are just some of the reasons why a narcissist will discard others. Now, as always, if there's anything I haven't mentioned, anything I've forgotten, please feel free to use the comment box below. There are some interesting conversations start around these videos. But if you found this video helpful, if you found it interesting, please consider subscribing to my channel. And until next time, thanks for watching.